Welcome to the EQ Video Tip. I'm your host, Eric Forsetter. Thanks again for joining us for another terrific edition of this week's EQ Video Tip. Before we jump in, let's review the goals of EQ Video Tip. What's on tap for today? We have a great article from Greg Ward who talks about 5 ways to make sure employees understand that you respect them, as well as why it's critical for your success. And let's face it, there's tons of articles, tons of TikTok, social media type rants about being disrespected at work. My boss doesn't like me, my CEO doesn't like me, my manager doesn't like me. And why is this happening? Well, one thing that's happening is some leaders out there don't show the right EQ in terms of showing the right respect to their employees. Additionally, there's a neuroscience behind the art of respect, and when you feel disrespected, it actually stimulates your amygdala, that fight or flight sense within your body. And when that happens, you get tensed up. Maybe your heart rate increases. Maybe all of a sudden your glands that produce sweat start sweating a bit, and you have a spike in your breathing rates. All of this leads to your muscles being tense and ready for action. So what happens when you get disrespected once? It may stay with you for 5 minutes or 5 hours, but when it continually happens, it builds up. It creates this negative energy, and that fight or flight mode kicks in automatically, and you don't want to work where you're working right now. We're going to talk about different ways to avoid this, as well as ways to treat employees with more respect. Tip number 1, and this is an easy one, be the first to treat others with respect. So if you're the leader, make sure, and you don't have to be the manager to be the leader, that you're treating with people with respect. A simple good morning, a simple thank you, a simple please. Courtesy makes a huge difference. Starting with that actually helps out in terms of understanding that the environment around you is consistently one of respect and mutual admiration and trust. So make sure you start with respect no matter who you are in the organization. Tip number 2, tell your employees what you actually respect them for. So write a list down and tell them, be specific with examples of, hey, I respect you for the hard work that you do, or for the extra hours you put in, or for the care you take in making sure that the numbers are accurate, or whatever it is he or she does within your environment. But it's important to let them know why you respect them. Tip number 3, nip disrespect in the bud, I should say. For example, if there's a certain situation where you've seen someone be disrespectful, remind that person of the situation. Give them an example of their behavior, how they had acted or what they did, review it with them. Then explain the impact. Maybe they were interrupting people during a meeting, and when that happened, other people shut down. They didn't respond to the meeting. They walked out of the meeting, or maybe they stopped taking notes, whatever it is. And then make a request. Be specific. Say, as an example, instead of interrupting, maybe you can take notes in the meeting, and then afterwards, when you have something to say, you could finish up with that. Figure out ways to help them through their disrespectful behavior, while at the same time nipping that disrespect in the bud in a positive manner. Our last tip, don't try to stop disrespect with more disrespect. For example, the person who is interrupting people in the meetings, we shouldn't go and then interrupt that person during the meeting or call them out for that disruptive behavior. Instead, make a general statement to say something like, it's important we hear everyone out, or it's important that we get everybody's perspective without interruption. Then later on, maybe have a time where you one-on-one talk to that person and let them know what's happening and why their behavior was disrespectful. Again, don't try to disrespect with more disrespect, because 2 wrongs don't make a right. Hopefully that helps. That's a wrap for this week's EQ video tip. Hopefully these tips help you in finding the right balance for respect within your environment, at both work and at home. Again, take these tips, make them yours, customize them for your everyday life. So that concludes our EQ video tip for today.
try incorporating some of these tips into your daily routine. But remember, use what works best for you and personalize it for yourself. Thank you always to our great research team for providing us with some great tips today. As always on EQ Video Tip, we want to end with gratitude. So thank you for watching. We really appreciate it. Here are some resources that you can use if you want more information on EQ going forward. Thank you again, and we look forward to seeing you in the next episode. Thank you.